Welcome to the day 2 of GrabCON 2021. Hope you all are having a great day. Welcome to the day 2 of GrabCON 2021. Hope you all are having a great day. Let's get started with the talks for the day. Our first speaker is Miss Chenny who would be speaking on hacking with bad USB rubber ducky. I hope you have heard the term and you would love the talk. Over to you, ma'am.
Hello everyone, this is Chenny. I'm really happy to be at the GrabCON 2021 and talk about security with you guys. So today my topic is hacking with a bad USB rubber ducky. You can see here is the bad USB rubber ducky. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so before entering into today's topic, let me do a brief introduction of myself. My name is Chenny. I'm the CTO co-founder of CyberMe Technology. I'm prior senior security consultant in Deloitte Risk Advisory and Accenture. I'm a red teaming professional, ethical hacker, and also I do security research in blockchain, like DeFi security. I have the OSCP, OSWP, CEH, AWS security specialty. If you'd like to talk more about security with me, please connect me on Instagram and Twitter. Here's my social media accounts, and I do post security articles on my Medium. So today's agenda will be like this. First, we'll talk about what is a bad USB and the use case, the types of the bad USB, and how does it work. Of course, we'll spend a lot of time in today's video about the demo, and we'll work together about how to make a bad USB and how to get a reverse shell on the target computer. And finally, after the demo, we'll talk about how to prevent a physical attack like this, how to prevent from the bad USB. Okay. So the background of bad USB. What is a bad USB? Like you can see, it's really like a normal USB. So cyber criminals often use the bad USB as an external tool to inject malicious scripts so that are designed to seek administrator privileges, steal password, or download malwares to your computer. We can see that an official introduction, a bad USB is any USB device that is specially built or modified to introduce payloads in the form of keystroke injections into a target computer. They're used to perform broad range of actions on a computer by effectively posing as a human interface device. In other words, bad USBs are virtual keyboards that can be programmed in advance to type out characters on the computer without physically doing so. So once plugged in, they get straight to work, executing even complex keystroke that require the use of two or more keys simultaneously. For example, the ran command, which requires to hold down the Win and plus R keys together. We can see, like in the use cases, the TV series Mr. Robot, the Elliot Alderson uses a lot. Like he used the USB keys as a lure. So throughout the episode, Elliot uses different hacking techniques to establish a foothold within the prison systems. So he starts by recruiting Darlene, his sister, to pull off a simple but classical penetration testing technique, planting poison USB sticks in hopes that like someone will plug it in. So that's like a trick, like to social engineering attacks to lure someone to pick it in and plug it in the computer. I can't remember where the technique first started, but it probably been around since the USB storage and auto-ran features first showed up. And if an attacker can get a victim to plug in the nefarious USB device, there are many ways it can leverage to automatically and run it malicious codes. Alright, so what the types of bad USB? So there are normally 4 types of bad USB that commercially available are a bad USB rubber ducky, like this very popular, very normal thing. The Molduino, you can see this just like a board, and the Wi-Fi enabled bad USB and bad USB cable. We'll introduce them like one by one. The bad USB rubber ducky is just constant upgrades to the design of USB sticks without specifying the exact change to the internal build. So, but it's sometimes really hard to find the compatible devices. So it's just built to act like a bad USB. Nothing really special. And the Moduno is an open source Arduino-based bad USB that injects the malicious payloads into the target computer. It gains widespread attention in recent times. A Moduno packs several features compared to regular bad USB devices by virtue on its board of computer because, it's compatible for a lot of devices. So the Moduno devices are commonly found today support the micro SD cards and also a side of the dip switches to help its user toggle between the store programs with the USB card, because the board servers is Arduino based. And what is the Wi-Fi enabled bad USB is the types of bad USB similar to Arduino, but is designed to have the Wi-Fi capabilities. Once plugged into the target system, these devices allow attackers to introduce malicious payloads into the victim's computer by using the Wi-Fi protocols. That's the Wi-Fi enabled bad USB. It takes different depends on the exit purpose and function they serve. So there are 3 types of common Wi-Fi enabled bad USB. We can see the Wi-Fi enabled keystroke injectors, the Wi-Fi keyloggers, the Wi-Fi V authenticators. Once you plug it in, you get to authenticate from your Wi-Fi immediately. It will maybe just stop the network functions. And finally, the phenotypes of the bad USB is a bad USB cable. It's really similar as a charging cable to lure you to plug in to charge your phones, to charge your phone from your computers, but the cable is very popular and gaining widespread attention in recent times because it looks and functions similar to any other USB cables. And it's very dangerous. Without your knowledge, and the attackers can inject the scripts and malware into a computer. You can see there are the USB Ninja and USB Harpoon. So there are the generic looking cables hiding the bad USB within the internal circuitry and more deceptive. Okay, so let's see the logic behind how does a bad USB work. First, we have a bad USB, and it's really like a USB thumb drive. And once we plug it into the computer, is recognized as keyboards, a trusted device. So the USB thumb drive that actually functions as a keyboard when connected to a computer. And that's how it emulates key presses to launch various automatic attacks. For example, it will automatically to turn your PowerShell on and to launch various attacks of the PowerShell command. And once it triggers your PowerShell command, it will download a PowerShell script from the internal site and install the malware on the test machines. We can see that's a GS script bot. And then it executes additional malware. So your computer gets compromised from the victim. Alright, so after knowing so much about the background and how that works, let's hack together. We'll do 2 demos today. One is to open up the notepad and display some written text, and the second demo will work to gaining a reverse shell. So let's start. Alright, so now is our demo time. Our first demo is to open up a notepad. So before shooting this video, I have already done scripting a payload and put it into this Arduino Leonardo. Let's try to see how it works. First, I'll inject the USB into my computer. Okay, it takes some time. Okay, once I plug it in, you can see this notepad turns on and see you have been pawned. Of course, we can do a lot of things with this bad USB. Alright, so let's work together to see how I did it with scripting. First, because our board is the Arduino, we have to install the Arduino driver to our computer. Otherwise, if you find the device manager, you won't find the... You see the ports, COM, LPT here. We can see this Arduino Leonardo here. That's because I have already done installing the Arduino driver in here. So manually download it from the website, and you can just click just download it, and it will just start downloading it. Since I have already done with the downloading, I'll just go with the next step to see how to install the driver. Normally, it will just automatically install drivers for you, but you can also do it manually. Here is our locations. The program files, Arduinos, and click the drivers. We click OK, and next, you see it's already installed. So it's good to use right now. And I have already done with a payload preparations. Oh, here. It's the payload for opening up the notepad. Actually, we do this by first writing it with the Ducky language and use it to convert it into the Arduino IDE language. But for convenience, I just use the Arduino IDE language so that it will be compiled easily. We see it will just, once injected in, it will turn on the notepad and print you have been pawned. And wait a few seconds and then closed. Okay, so let's open up our Arduino app. Okay, here's our Arduino app. Since our board is the Arduino Leonardo, I select the tools and the Arduino Leonardo, and then paste our payloads from here. Okay, and we can do the app. We can do a verify. I forgot to select the ports. Oh yeah, we have to select the ports on it, but it doesn't matter since I have already done with selecting. But remember, you have to select the ports. Okay, so our next demo is to getting a reverse shell from the target machine. Our local machine is a Kali Linux, which is our attacker machine, and we want to target this Windows 10. So we have to create a reverse shell with some script. And luckily I found there's a PowerShell reverse rubber ducky by James book. And let's see, the scripting is by Ruby, where we can use it and integrate with the Metasploit. Okay, so it's pretty good to use. Thank you for offering the script. I have already copied the script to our local machine. We can see the Arduino.rb. Yeah, I have done with downloading the script. So let's run the script. Arduino.ruby. So we will enter the host IP to listen on. Where is our local IP? and our local host, let's run the 1234 and it's generating the shellcode. So we'd like to start a listener with Metasploit. We say yes. And it's setting up the Metasploit with yes, good. We can see show options, the localhost and our local port, and we can see the scripting. Where is our Arduino script is? I think it's on the desktop. Okay, so let's capture the PowerShell reverse Arduino port. Shell.txt. Okay, good. Let's copy this selection into our Arduino board. Select the copy and let's hit the verify. And it's done compiling. Once it's done compiling, I think it's going to can upload it to our USB rubber ducky. Oh yeah, you see that the PowerShell is executing. And yeah, forgot to hit the exploit since you have to set the localhost to another address like 123.880 and regenerate the shellcode again. But we can see even we didn't get a reverse shell, but the payload executing successfully to the target machine. Same because we binded the wrong local port. So let's plug in the bad USB once again to see how it works like. You see, we plug it in and the PowerShell turns on. It just automatically runs your script we have created. If we have banded the correct local port, we will get a reverse shell, but unfortunately we didn't here. In the last section of today, we'll discuss how to prevent from the bad USB. There are two tools, and I think if they're open source, you can check the two tools that we can use to catch the rubber ducky actions and the ducky attacks by looking for the keystrokes that are tapped at very fast speeds. One is the duck counter, and the other two is USB rape. They can display all the USB log events, but only for Linux systems. Alright, thank you for watching. If you have more questions for today's video, welcome to discuss with me and hear my social medias. Bye bye.
Our next speaker for the day is Tushar Verma, who would be speaking on exploiting SSRF like a boss. Over to you, sir.
In this talk, we are going to see exploiting SSRF like a boss. So before starting, let me give you my introduction. I am working as an associate security consultant at HackerSera. I'm also a part of CNAC Red Team. I'm also a part-time bug bounty hunter and an infosec trainer and speaker. So let's see what is SSRF. So SSRF also you can just say server-side request forgery attack. So it is a web security vulnerability that allows an attacker to induce the server-side application to make HTTP requests to an arbitrary domain of the attacker. So basically, in this SSRF attack, what is happening? The attacker can cause the server to make a connection to internal only services within the organization infrastructure. Basically, in simple word, you can say like the attacker is forcing the server to connect to an arbitrary external system, which can just leak some sensitive data also. So, how to identify and exploit SSRF? So, the first step we can do identify any request parameters that appears to contain host name, IP addresses, or full URLs. Now, the second step is for each parameter modify its value to specify an alternative resource similar to the one being requested. Then check if that resource appears in the server's response. After that, define a URL define a URL targeting a server on the internet that you regulate, and then monitor for incoming connection from the application you are testing. If no incoming connection is received, monitor the time taken for the application to respond. If there is a delay, the application's backend request may be timing out due to network, like they may have just blocked something on that. So on outbound connections. So, and if there is a successful connection with the arbitrary URL, then you can try to perform the following attack. Now, what we can do if we are testing for SRF, what we can do with that SRF found. So we can scan for internal networks and ports. If it is running on cloud instance, try to fetch metadata. We can also chain it to XSS, or like we can also try to find RC also from SRF. And at last, we can also test the URL schemas. So now, before testing for SSRF, we need to first find the endpoints. So to get more and more endpoints, we can just combine these tools. Let's say GAO, Wayback URLs, and Arjun. So we can you can use only one tool also. It depends upon your choice, or you can just combine these tools. Like for example, you can just combine GAO and Arjun or Wayback URL, and then just collect all the endpoints which you are getting, and then after that you can just filter out the endpoint through GeoPattern tool. If you are testing on Burp directly, then you can just use the Burp for a minor extension. It's very helpful for getting a parameter for testing on SSRF or vulnerability. Now comes where to look for SSRF. So we can look for SSRF on webhooks. Now the second one is the PDF generator. So basically, what is happening in this PDF generator? I will explain that. So server is like, for example, if the server converts file upload to PDF, then we can try to inject iframe, img, or you can say base or script function pointing to internal service. So let's say iframe src equal to then file // etc password. We'll be seeing about that also. So we can do that. We can also, then the third functionality where we can test for SSRF is the document parser. So it's the same case as we are just injecting iframe. Same thing we can do here. Okay. The fourth one is the file upload. So basically, what is happening when we are seeing any file upload functionality, and if we are seeing like input type equal to file in the request, then we can try to change it to input type URL and then pass the URL. And if you're testing for SRF, then it's you can just try to look for some more functionality. These are some core functionality. Okay, and yes, you can just find some more gaining experience in that. So types of SSRF. So the first one is the basic SSRF and the second one is the blind SSRF. So let's see both of them one by one. So basic SSRF. So in the basic SSRF, the attacker can get a response back from a server. Okay, and in that response, it may include local files, response from a service hosted within the network, and cloud metadata. Now comes the blind SSRF. So blind SSRF is like where an application can be induced to issue a backend HTTP request to a supplied URL, but the response from backend request is not returned in the application front-end response. So in that case, it's a blind SRF. So basically, if you are not able to understand these, then you can just understand in a simple language, like you are giving, like you are making a request to a URL, but in the response you are not seeing anything. So in that case, it's a blind SRF attack. Now basically, after like for that, you can just try to see a ping on your Burp collaborator, and if you are seeing anything, you are getting IP, then you can report that. But it's a low like impact bug, so they won't pay you much. Now this impact of this blind SRF, it is like it depends upon your ability how you can change into different issues. Okay, so there are some exploit also available. If you are like you know about them, then you can just you can see we can change this blind SRF to RC also by injecting command injection payload in the URL. Okay, so it depends upon you how you can change it. Now like then comes the testing of URL schemas. So like for example, this is the first like if you're testing for schemas, then the first thing like if you're testing for SRA basically, then the first thing you can test is all the wrapper which are working. And if that server is blocking any one wrapper, then you can try another. Like don't be limited to only one. So we'll be seeing like knowing the basic about all the wrapper, and I've also attached some example after all the wrapper name, so you can just see the example also. So the first one is the file wrapper. File is used to fetch a file from the file system. The second one is the dict. So dict URL scheme is like it's used to refer to definitions or word lists available using the dict protocol. The third one is the FTP. So it stands for SSH File Transfer Protocol. So it is a separate protocol package with SSH that works in a similar way over a secure connection. Now then comes the LDAP. So LDAP stands for Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. It is an application protocol which is used over an IP network to manage and access the distributed directory information servers. Then comes the TFTP. So it's information trivial file transfer protocol. It's a very simple, you can say, log file transfer protocol, which allows a client to get a file from or put a file onto remote host. The last one is the Gopher. So it's a distributed document delivery service. It allows user to explore, search, and retrieve information residing on different locations in a seamless fashion. After that, if you are like testing for SRF, then you can also test for SRF on again the local server. So for that, you can just use some con payload and some con ports. The con port are 80, 43, 22, and like there are some con payload also available. You can just find some functionality and then you can start just testing with these payload. The first one is HTTP 21.27.0.0.1. The second one is HTTP 0.0.0.0, and the third one is the this HTTP localhost. So these are some con payload which you can use if you're testing for SRF, like again the local server. Now there are some commonly used protection mechanism. Of course, like it is not that easy. Like you are just like going for testing for SRF against the local server, and you're just putting these on payload, and after that you're getting that like you can see the local host and you can get data from it. It's not that easy. So for that, they have just like of course their team are just seeing these things and then they're blocking. We have some like type of like how we can like go on for testing these. So first understand like how they have blocked it. So the first one is the blacklisting and the second one is the whitelisting. So in the blacklisting, what is happening? Like they are not allowing us these some sort of addresses or the address range. So of course the most common address is the HTTP 107.0.0.1. They are not allowing, so you can't use that. Or you can say HTTP localhost. So these are some common address range. This is just an example. And the second one is the whitelisting. So they are only allowing some particular like value only. So you use that thing. Now comes the how you can bypass this blacklisting and whitelisting. So you can first use you can just change the protocol as you have seen in the slide. Like I have been just putting the payload with the HTTP. So you can change that HTTP to HTTPS, and then you can put let's say you can put HTTPS 0.0.0.0, or you can use the local host, or you can use the 127.0.0.1. It depends upon you. Now the second method which you can use is the bypassing rear address. Basically, in this you can just shorthand the IP addresses by dropping a zero. So let's suppose that we are having the payload at the HTTP 127.0.0.1. So you can just remove the zero. So we can have the addresses as HTTP 127.0.1, or we can have HTTP 127.1 or HTTP 0. Now third one is we can bypass using URL encoding. So basically we can single or double encode a specific URL to bypass the blacklisting. Okay. Then the fourth one is bypass using include alphanumeric. So we can just make our just payload list from this by using alphanumeric, and then we can just put that payload on the functionality and start testing for this. Now comes the SSRF URL for cloud instance. So nowadays, as we know that most of the servers are hosted on the cloud. So if you are just testing for SRF, then you may be just saying that okay, that particular server is on cloud. So in that, if you are just using the local host thing, then of course there is no use, because like of course like the local host for the particular cloud may be different. Like you can see in the AWS, the local host is 169.254.169.254. So if you are just using 127.0.0.1, then it's waste of like you like they won't be like giving you anything. The same local host is for the Xplore and the Google Cloud, but for Alibaba, you are seeing again it's like 100.200. So we all have like for every let's say cloud, there can be some different local hosts. So you need to first identify that and then start like injecting. Like don't just play blindly. Okay, it's a blind SRF, like you can just do blind attack, but like you know like okay that particular server is on cloud, then you can't just use the local host, that common default to the that local host. Okay, that's the thing. Also, if you are like let's suppose that you can also do an attack that is not a cross-site core attack. I haven't added this in the slide, so I will just explain that thing. So what, like for example, if we have an IP address, let's say 127.0.0.1 with some different port, let's say it has like let's say it has so many port available, and so you can just put that particular URL in the burp encoder and see the response time. Okay, and if you see in a particular port that all this, like what will happen in any one port, maybe the response time will be more. In that case, you can just say like okay, this port may be open, and and all the ports are closed because that a particular port is taking long time to the response. So just using this banner or error message or response timing, we can also just like confirm like okay, there is a banned SRF attack we can do, or we can report also that attack. So that's all. Now for learning SSRF, you can just go on for the like if you're a beginner, then you can just start following labs of Portsfigure. They have everything which you need. Like you are a beginner, of course, so you need the basic knowledge about that. So you can follow the labs from that. Then you can move on to the repo, all things SRF. In that they have like all the blogs and the everyone report, the video, the talks video. So you can just see every like you can just read every reports and blog from that, and then you can just like you can just understand the attacks, how they are performing, and then you can just use that following attack on your application. Now comes the like how you can like you don't know about all the payloads. So for like you want to just have a help like if you want a handbook which has all the payload which is related to the SRF attack, then you can just see the third one, that is Swiss key repo, and in that you will see all the payload which is related to SRF. Now if you want to like learn more about exploiting your parser, then you can just see the talk on the backend, or you can just see this PDF for having. Now the main thing, like if you're just reporting in SRF, you also need to just give them some tips like how they can mitigate that. So there are some like basic you can like we can just add on a report. The first one is like you can just give them like go on and disable unnecessary URL schemas. Okay. The second one can be the response validation, and the third one can be proxy server. Okay, that's all. So I guess if you have any doubt regarding this talk, then you can just contact me on my social media handles, or you can email me. I'm active on all these platforms. That's all. Thank you, everyone. Uh,
Now it's time for our guest speaker, Mr. Rimon Seth, who would be speaking on bug bounties. What's next? Oh, I hope you enjoyed the surprise speaker. Over to you, sir.
Assalamualaikum, welcome everyone in GrabCON by the Cyber Grab. Today's topic is what's next in bug bounty hunting. Before starting my presentation, let me introduce myself. I'm Mehdi Hassan Rimon. My Twitter account is RimonSec. I'm a CSE student and a bug bounty hunter. I'm also a founding member of Bug Bounty Community Bangladesh. You can see the Twitter account here. So this talk is for you or not. Like if you are a beginner, found some bugs, now want to level up the game, then this talk is for you. But you must have some kind of basic idea about how these things working, or not you will not understand anything. So now understand the reason why you want to become a bug bounty hunter. You can set the primary reason to cache, and also can set the primary reason for become an amazing hacker. You also can like choose both. You can balance this both approach, it fully depends on you. Now understand the workflow. I have figured out this workflow, hack all the things and one shot at a time. You also can do both. It's fully depend on you because there is no right or wrong way in bug bounty hunting. Now let's talk about hack all the things approach. First of all, you have to understand the platforms because every platform is not same. Because you will see there are some trending program or like changing bug on HackerOne and also some trending bug on CNAC. You also know the platform named Zerocopter. It's a private platform, but you also can get there by invitation from program. Like there a program called PostNL. You can submit bug PostNL. They will take you on Zerocopter. So you have to understand every platform, how they work, the programs, the bugs, most trending there, and have to do research with those things. Then you have to learn programming because programming is so important here. Without programming knowledge, you can't like automate or monitor on your targets. Also have to schedule a bug bounty lifestyle because you know that you have to hack all the things, mean you have to hack every time like a new program launch, and you have to look into it, you have to monitor your data. So a proper bug bounty lifestyle you have to schedule. Now let's talk about one shot at a time thing. So here you have to master on your bug. Like for me, I'm not good at it this bug, but I know well about information disclosure. So there may be some bug you are good at. So you have to master on that bug, and you have to pick the right program and right platform. If I give example of mine, like I tried with Bugcrowd, but somehow I was not able to understand their platform, so I shifted on HackerOne, and this approach worked well for me. I've understood HackerOne so well, and now hacking on HackerOne, also joined CNAC recently. So yeah, you have to understand what worked well for you. Then you also have to learn when you have to shift your target. Like you will be hacking single target, so it's okay if you don't get any bug for weeks. So you have to learn when you should shift your target. It will help to avoid burnouts. So now let's talk about improving your approach. If you are beginner, so I know that you are just like following things on internet, like someone doing a recon way. You are just reproducing that part without understanding why he's doing this. So it's important to understand your target, your method, everything. So if I talk about recon, you have to understand how you can collect more data, or at least why you are actually doing this to get those data. And then you have to do deep assessment because when you are hacking single application, you just can't rely on low hanging fruits. You have to find out unique bugs that you are good at, and also learn why those payloads are working. Don't just blindly throw them. Also learn why they're working, how those filter working, how those backend server responding on your request, those things. So here the thing you have to focus. If you skip those parts, it will not help you in the long run. Actually, you must have a good idea about those things. So now let's give an example what I meant before. Like here I have a chart, you can see subdomain enumeration part. For a beginner, you just like shooting these tools on your target, but the actual way is, I will not say that the proper way, but the way you can make it more efficient by doing this. You can have understand the passive enumeration part, then active enumeration part. Also you know about the permutation part, and the tooling part is fully up to you. You can use any tool you like. There is nothing important about the tooling section because bug bounty commit actually have a lot of tools and regular updated tools, so you are free to pick up them, but it's important to know why you are using those tools. So now let's talk a bit about resources to improve. First of all, you can research over other methodologies. Okay, let me show you this one practically. So here if you search on Google like bug bounty methodology, you will see a lot of results. So here you can see the hackerish. So he also have his methodology with pros and cons, everything. Here you can see the security B. He also have a collection of methodologies. What you can do at this point, okay, you can like name something methodology. You can give a title, and you can collect the thing. Like in methodology 1 you saw subdomain enumeration, in methodology 2 you saw JSON enumeration. So you can build up something your own by combining this both approach. So in this way you can research over other methodologies and you can figure out something that work good for you. Then you can like practice on bug bounty hunter. This platform is so well for bug bounty hunters. You also can similar platforms, but you must have a place for practice your skill. Then you can update yourself with infosec newsletters, like I mentioned earlier. The security B guy, he have newsletter. You also can have let me show you the newsletter part. Wait, thing should be okay. So you can see he have newsletter. There are also newsletter by IntechDC. I forgot the name, bug bites maybe. Yep, so bug bites by IntechDC. So you can join those newsletters to get daily updates, not daily updates, weekly updates. So yep, you can use those resources to improve yourself. Here are some in notes for you, like stay always humble, cause if you're good at bug bounty hunting, it's not mean that you are the best one. Maybe tomorrow someone else may like become better than you. So always stay humble. Also share what you know to improve the community, and do not lose your quality actually, because your quality is something that make you special in this crowd. And also hack to change the world, do good things, and yep, that's all. Be secure, be safe. Allah Hafiz.
Our next speaker is Manas Hirsch, who would be speaking on breaking the access, a dive into access control issues. I hope you all love this talk and learn something new.
Hi everyone, this is Manas here, and today I'm speaking about the access control bugs and stuff. And I'm really thankful to GrabCON, who gave me an opportunity to introduce myself into this conference. So I'll go ahead with my talk, and I hope you enjoy it. So this topic is all about breaking the access controls and a deep dive into access control issues. So in case if you don't know me, I'm a full-time application security consultant and senior red teamer since February this year. Along with it, I'm also a podcaster, and these days my podcast is going well, and I have interviewed 3 or 4 people till now, and it's going very well. If you wish, you can go ahead and listen it on everywhere, like all the streaming services, either it is Apple Music or Spotify or anywhere, or Google Podcast. Also, I write blogs on InfoSec or any relevant topic, so you can go ahead and read my blogs as well on Medium. And as a hobby, I do gymming a lot, so yeah, I'm a gymmer. So with it, we'll go ahead and see what we have in this talk. So we'll go ahead and the first thing is what are access controls. Like I hope everyone knows it already. Was for a general understanding, I put it here. So the thing is, access control are like as it is written, is the application of constraints on who can perform attempted actions. So you have been authenticated in a website or an application to do the tasks over there. So until you are authenticated, you can't do any task. So that's why there are access control things, which gives you basically the access to do the whole stuff over an application. Also, it concludes session management, which like manages the session things, like a session is being generated and all the stuff over there. Again, access control determines whether the user is allowed to carry out the actions like that they're attempting to perform. Like access control also sees like what we are doing there. So we have limited access over there. So access control works in that way. And after that, it comes like what are broken access control issues. So we have access control. So a broken access control are just, like simply issues in access control things. So broken access control is something like if you have access to something, what you can do if you don't have access to a particular user or a higher privilege. So simply you are breaking the access there. So if there is a issue or vulnerability, you would be able to do the thing you shouldn't in normal scenario. So broken access control vulnerabilities exist when a user can in fact access some source or perform some action that they are not supposed to be able to access. So suppose I don't have access to create a user, but somehow I got the access to create a user. So that's a broken access control issue. So it works like that. Those are the broken access control issues. The next thing, like we'll go ahead and see what are the things. See, it is all about mind games, like what you can do with an application. Suppose you have access to an application, it is all about what you can do which you don't have access to do. So if you're limited to something in an application, you need to check everything which you can't do without a higher privilege or without logging in. So this talk is all about this thing. We'll go ahead and see like common things in an application when a matter comes to access control. So these are some common things: privilege escalations and cookie manipulations, direct URL access, IDOS, and everything you can't do with having a higher privilege. So that includes everything in a privilege escalation, but it's not limited to privilege escalations. There are so many more things to do in broken access control. So we'll look into it this. So the first thing is privilege escalations, like vertical and horizontal. You know this already. Like if you are a lower privilege user, you can do the stuff which you can't do. Like you can do the stuff like a higher privilege user. So it all comes under privilege escalation. Then cookie manipulations, like or if you can swap the cookies or just brute force the cookies, those type of stuff are like covered in cookie manipulation. Then direct URL access. Suppose you are logged in and you browse to an endpoint. Suppose I'll show you an example. Suppose this is the site. So this is the whole URL. Now you logged out and now you go to browser and search for it simply. So if you are able to access it there, so this is a direct URL access. If you are able to log in without like if you are able to access it without logging in, so that is called a direct URL access. So this also comes in access control thing. Then IDOS we all know already, but we also will see some different scenarios as well. It's not limited to number changes and all, like you change 1212 and you get the access of another user. It's not limited to that thing. And then we'll see some more scenarios. So let's go ahead. So first thing we need to do is, like, what I do is I configure the burp for like different kind of things with some extensions and all. So like it gives me a lot of features, like you can save a lot of time as well. So 2-3 things you need to keep in mind, like authorize, auto repeater, and JS link finder. So I'll show you what we can do with it and what things you can find with it. And also a feature called match and replace. I think very less people use it, like in daily users. Sometimes they use it, sometimes they don't. But in my opinion, it is very important. Like if you are using match and replace, and it is the same case in auto repeater, but there is a privilege, like you don't have to do it every time. Once you run it, not on auto repeater, it will check everything over there. So we'll see in our journey. So we'll see authorize thing first. So if you're able to see the authorize here, we have an extension called authorize. You go to extender, then you go to this web store, then authorize is here. So you just need to, like, you can use it in free burp as well. So go ahead, install it and run it. So in this thing, what we need to do is, like, as I have put it here. So what you need to do is, suppose you have 2 user roles. I don't have 2 user roles. I'm just logged in as a normal user in ports figure, but I'll show you what we can do. So suppose this is a site. We go here, we load it. Sorry. Now. So we load it. We have this thing here. So if you can see, this is the whole cookie. We have our cookie. So in bug bounty or in penetration testing as well, if you have 2 user roles, suppose you have a low privileged and a high privileged user. So you first you log in with low privileged user in another browser and configure it with burp, obviously, and copy the cookies of a low privileged user, paste it here. If you can see, I'll do it again for you. See, this is a thing called, you can paste your cookies here, or you can like directly send it here. You can also send it through, like, just go here, go to extensions, send cookies to authorize. So it will do the same thing. So what you need to do now, you pasted your cookies, turn the authorize on. So now what will happen is, once you will browse to everything, it will authorize will check whether there is a access control issue. And suppose you are browsing the things with higher privileged users. Suppose you are logged in with admin. You went to the pages where you can't go with a low privileged user. So what authorize will do is, it will check every request inside it and give you the like proper details. If you have something like if you can access it with lower privileged users cookies, so you'll get this bypassed thing in unauthenticated status here. So if you can click here, suppose this request or this, suppose, you can see the first thing is modified request, modified response. In this case, what happens, it will just swap the cookies with the higher privileged user. Your lower privileged users cookies, which you have pasted in configuration, will be swapped with admin cookies, and if you get access, it's a bug. So you can go ahead and report it. And this is the first thing in modified requests. But mainly what we can check is if you can do an unauthenticated request. This has a higher impact, since you don't have to log into the application. You can directly browse to an endpoint. So suppose this is the thing. Now if here you are getting 200 OK response and there is no cookie included, so you can check in browser if you can get the data. So that's also a bug. So you can find 2 bugs here simply. So this all comes in like horizontal privilege escalations, or if you can get the access of admin simply, like if you are able to do the admin things, that's vertical. So that's how the authorize works. And the more you will browse the website, the more things you'll get here. So this is the Portsfigure website. It is highly secured, but I'll highly suggest you to go to any bug bounty site and try it. And like if you spend a good span of time there, you will find a lot of stuff. So this is one thing about authorize, and I leave it to you how do you use it, but I just showed you like you can check a lot of stuff on authorize. We'll go ahead and just turn it off so that we don't have to do like it won't capture everything here. So this was one thing, and next thing is like auto repeater. So what we can do with auto repeater is we can check, basically the main thing we check with auto repeater is IDOS. So I'll show you how. Go here in extender tab. I have installed it already. You have this extension here, auto repeater. Install it, and once it is installed, you can go ahead and configure it with your things. Like I'll show you how once it is installed. So basically these two like extensions, auto repeater and authorize, is highly needed in access control issues if you're checking them. So see, now it's installed. So what we will do here is we have, if you can check here, like in auto repeater tab, we have this thing, base replacements. Okay, and the replacement and conditions, you can, I'll tell you what you can do. Like base replacements, match replace thing is here, but the main concern is like you don't have to do your stuff again and again, so it will save you a lot of time. Suppose you got a user ID, like in your application you have a user ID called 1111. Now you have, I'm assuming you have already two user roles, so your second user ID is suppose 1223. Now what it will do is, here what we can do, replace all, like everything, and we will do it. Okay, so we have configured one thing. Again, if you want to match and replace another ID, or suppose anything like email ID, suppose first thing is abc@gmail.com, and you think there might be an IDOR, go and second is suppose bcd@gmail.com, add it. Okay, so this is done. Now what you can do is like there are conditions as well, like where you can like configure it for matching, like on domain or URL or extensions, or like cookie value, or like you can do it for like anything. Sorry, so a lot of things are there. So you can configure auto repeater in that way, and once like it is you'll start browsing, it will start showing you the request here, like in this tab. So you can click on one after another and check if you're getting the things. Like sometimes you will get like false positives, but that doesn't matter, because you need to check the response codes, like if you're getting 200 okay, and make sure to check it in browser as well, or just to confirm like you are getting the actual bug. So that's one thing here. So this was auto repeater, what basically we can do with it. So, and next thing is just a moment. Yeah, so we have another extension called JS Link Finder, and I'll show you what it has done till now. So suppose in this website portsfigure.net, we have what Burp JS Link Finder does. Does is it will give you all the JS files and JSON files and whatever it gets here, like all the URL things, like what we can do with get all URL tool. If you know GAU, we can tell this. So it does all the stuff here. The JS Link Finder, you can find the endpoints along with the JSON files, and what you can find here is direct URL accesses. I have found like 3 or 4 bugs on Synac from JS Link Finder. So what I found, that I was getting something like simply as I showed you like this, but what I got is like I browsed it already, okay, but I didn't know it was there. So you don't need to use any Python or Bash tool on your Linux. The Burp JS Link Finder will simply give you all the files included here. So if you can see here, these things are included. These are not bugs, like it is continually finding the things. That's the purpose. So if you get any like parameter or endpoint which you think can be suspicious, go ahead and check it. So you can find some direct URL accesses, directory, like some directories where the data are hidden. Like in my case, it was like site.com. Then it was something called a folder, and inside it was like appconfig.json. So this was my case. So in that case, what I was getting is I was getting the whole configuration of a third-party provider. So that thing you can't get simply, like if you'll simply go to a website, you can't get the things like these things. So you can automate burp in that way, so it will find the things here. So more you will browse your application. So one thing I always say is, like, once you get an application, make sure you check everything inside it, like every tab, everything. And if you don't want to do recon, just do all your stuff with burp. Like I rarely do any recon nowadays, because now I know I can do all the stuff from burp itself, like whatever it is, like directory brute forcing or like subdomain enumeration or anything. Like we have burp turbo intruder nowadays, like we can run a lot of scan with it, with directories or like parameters or any fuzzing. So we have a lot of things there. So that's one thing, but that's a tale of another day. But what I was telling is, like, JS link finder is really handy. So you can get a lot of stuff there, and some access controls, like you can't browse it without logging in. So and you'll not find them in authorize or auto repeater, because it works on cookies and all, and match and replace thing. So burp JS link finder works great here. So this was the burp JS link finder. And one thing I wanted to show you, like one option is there, I'll tell you, match and replace. So this works like same, like whatever you want to match and replace things. Suppose you want to do a header thing, like it will check request headers you want to change, or like you have a header, you want to change it with another thing. Suppose header is called ABC. Yeah, sorry guys. So header is called like ABC, and you want to replace it with CDEF. Suppose I'm just giving an example. Do it OK, and it will check everything here. So we have this thing added now, and this thing is like this tick mark is for enabling this header or something. So you can just go ahead and enable it, whatever you want to enable, and this will work for whole website or whatever it will capture here. So you can define your target or add it in scope. Suppose I added ports figure in scope now. So now it will change only the scope things here, but I will remove it because I don't need that thing right now. So I just wanted to show you, like, you can use match and replace in same case like auto repeater, but it works really great in IDOS, in the auto repeater thing, and match and replace option is for everything, including like every stuff. So if you can see, like, I have a lot of things like you can do for parameter names or request parameter value or anything. So this thing is really helpful. Or if you are doing, like, there are a lot of things you can find on GitHub for match and replace. Just Google it and you'll find a lot of stuff. Like you'll get a lot of help for only this option, match and replace. Like whatever you can do for code executions or blind SQL injections. So these are really handy. Like this option is really handy for this thing. Next thing I wanted to show you, like some more tricks or tips, whatever you can say. In IDOS, we have some cases. I have got some cases like where we have an email. Suppose we have an email here, abc@gmail.com. Now a lot of people, what they will do is they won't check what like if we can check it like change it for admin@gmail.com for an example. So can we get the data or access of admin or anything where we can't do it without like changing the email, or is it validating through email ID? So that's a really interesting case, and it has happened in past. If you'll see the cases on HackerOne or Bugcrowd or everywhere, some cases are there like if you can change the email addresses. And I have I know some people on Synack, they have found like 3-4k bug with this thing only. They just change it to admin like this thing, and they got a higher privileged data, and sometimes access as well. It depends on endpoint, like whatever endpoint it is. But if this case works, this will be considered in high. So you can go ahead and check this thing as well. Second thing, like a lot of people like this thing, WP-JSON, WP-V2 users, like username enumeration in WordPress. This is not actually a bug, but what you can do with it is, like suppose you went ahead, you checked with it, with this thing. So now you have one thing, you got to know like there are like 10 users here. Now you have 10 users you got already with their user IDs. If you will see that directory, V2 users contain it contains user IDs, sometimes email addresses, and the name of the user, the authors. So if you got like sometimes if you got your ID, but you don't know which ID will work or which email can work or what's the name of the user. Like in my Google bug, like the bug I got on Google, and my IDOR case was like I was getting like user and my name like Manas. So in WPV2 JSON, I got a user called Steve. I still remember there was still like Steve. Like there were a few more things, few more names were there, like something called Freddy or something like that. So these were names. So what I did was I went ahead and put like a user and then Steve. So I got the data of Steve. So this was one case which was really interesting and which really fascinated me. So I added it in my basket. From next time I'll go ahead and check this thing as well. So that was one case, like the WP-JSON, WP-V2 users leads to IDOS sometimes. So next time if you find it, and in your application if you're getting a username or something like that, go ahead and check this thing as well. Also in IDOS, like keep an eye on every place, like wherever a numerical value gets generated. Suppose you have downloading stuff, like you go ahead and download a file. So you will have you will have a folder called like your username, suppose Manas, and then 123.pdf. In banking applications it happens. So what you can do is you can change this PDF file to 124 or just brute force on it. Like you can go ahead and put it in intruder, brute force from 0 to 999 and see if you are getting something. So this is also a case of IDOR. And wherever it like if you're uploading an image and you can see that, so it wherever you can get a numerical ID, go ahead and search it in Burp, like use this thing a lot. Go ahead and check everything here. Like suppose you have an ID, check it, like if you can get anywhere like inside the application, go ahead and check with IDOR things. So you can get sometimes like bugs from this thing. Also there are things like you can change request methods sometimes. Suppose you are getting API calls somewhere. This is the application, and suppose if I'm getting APIs inside it, for an example I'll just show you, like send it to repeater, and if this like if you have if you know about APIs, there are a lot of things you can do, like the put request method enables the edit things, like you can edit or modify a request. So see if you can modify anything, like for any other user, just change the request method and check put, delete and these things, and sometimes it works. Like not sometimes, in recent times a lot of cases has come where people have changed the request method and they got the access, or they got the access to modify stuff. So that is one case which you can do as well. So this purpose to this slide is like keeping an eye on everything for IDORs. If you are going for IDOR, make sure you check everything. If there is an IDOR, it should not go anywhere. Like no one else should find that IDOR except you. So check everything, keep an eye on every numerical values, check the API calls very thoroughly, and that will help you a lot. Also, like cookies contain a lot of bugs. If you don't know, or like if you are unaware, like cookies will be like this. Like there are some parts, suppose it is one part, then this is one part, then again this is one part, and sometimes in last part it will be like, or I'll give you a good example. ABCD 1 2 3 4. Now sometimes what happens is, keep an eye of this last part. What happens in like this part will remain the same, only this part will be changed. So what you need to do is just brute force on this part, the ABCD 1 2 3 4. If you are getting the data or anything, or you are able to abuse the cookies, there might be a bug. So that is also one case. Also in cookie thing, like try to remove one thing after another. Suppose just to check like what is that particular part which is being validated as an authentication. So remove first thing, then remove this part, then remove this, and suppose if this thing, only this part works for an authentication, go ahead and try like other stuff like brute forcing and all, like if you can do anything with it. So this will also help a lot in finding some vulnerabilities. So this was one thing, and these were some cookie related stuff, and due to time limit I won't stretch the cases a lot. You have all the time to go ahead and do the Google stuff, and I'm just giving a reference like what you can do as a bug hunter. So the common bugs which people find with 300-400 bugs, so that these are the cases for simple access controls. So next time if you go ahead, make sure to check these things, and if you have confusion, like go through this these slides and you can find the stuff. And some things are there to check. If you are just in case if you're going for access controls, password reuse are there. Like suppose you created 2 accounts, suppose you have access to like you can create multiple accounts on an application. You created one account, you used a password, suppose ABCDEF something. Again, second time what you did was you created another account and you used the same password. So sometimes what happens is application validates the user on the basis of passwords. So if there are 2 same passwords on an application, sometimes it might happen you would be able to log in as a second user, and it can lead to a complete account takeover. So this is one case. Like it is there is one case which is quite older, 2 or 3 years back, but I am sure a lot of applications still like they are still using this case, and the small applications in like mostly in like if you're getting the private invitations on Bugcrowd or everywhere, this thing will come in play. Like you can use or check this thing, password reuse. And second thing is like application is not validating email addresses. So first thing was like on passwords. Second thing is like application will not validate what email address you have used. So you can create multiple accounts with same email address. So what will happen in this case is, suppose you created 2 accounts with abc@gmail.com. So it will log you in with second user. And I had actually a bug like this. like I didn't get bounty from it, I got points on integrity. But this was the case, like you can create multiple accounts with same email addresses, and sometimes, like most of the times, you will be logged in as your account only, but sometimes you were able to log in, like I was able to log in with my second account. So this was a bug, and it was considered like a low, because it was not considering second account every time, but it was considered as a valid bug. So you can check this thing as well, and you can earn a few bucks. So this is one case. Again, weak encoding, like cookies will go in base 64. Like cookies will something be like this thing. You can go ahead and check, like if the base 64 decoding is numerical value, go ahead and change the cookies and see what happens. So this is also one case. Also adding some parameters manually. Suppose you have a parameter like this, param1, param2. Okay, so now what you can do is go ahead and try a param3. So add like a manual parameter, not actually param3, but whatever, like a valid parameter which could be there. Like if it is available on a website, it should be like that, like admin or create user, or like create new or something like that. Add them manually, and sometimes you would be able to get the access of, like what you can't do with a normal privileged user, you would be able to do with like a normal privileged user, like it will work like a privilege escalation in some cases. So this is also one thing you can do, and this really helps sometimes. Like see, access controls are simply the bugs which are not limited to test cases. You can do a lot of things with your mindset. Just try to think like what are the things which will cause to a business. So what you can do, like a normal user can't do. So there are a lot of things. The first thing you need to keep in mind is, like, check everything which admin can do. Like I showed you already in authorize. Just turn your authorize on and check every parameter, every tab on like with admin account. And if there is a bug, there is a access control issue, authorize will surely give you the result. There is no false positive there. Like if there is a bug, and it will be in access, like in authorize. So you can use it a lot in your application tests. Again, and keep in mind, like like if you're going for IDOS and privilege escalations, make sure to check every test case which are common. And along with it, check with your own mindset, like if you can change email addresses or the numerical values inside it. Like if the request is going through the JSON value, can you add 2 email addresses and check if you're getting the verification code on both email addresses. So those are some cases you can get, and it is really handy. So it's all depends on your mindset, like how much you can think. And it comes with experience. Like, you know, if someone is a 6 months old bug bounty hunter and someone is here since 2-3 years, so the 2-3 year people will have obviously more knowledge. Like he has seen a lot more scenarios than the new one, right? But anyways, like everyone is on their own time. Everyone has their different clock. So make sure you put everything once you go ahead to find bugs. Don't come with like like there was a test case you could do but you didn't do there. Check everything which is in your hand. Like you are free to do anything, right? And that's the beauty of bug bounty. You are not limited to anything. So again, these are some resources. Like I'll share the this slide anyways. And these are some resources you can get the knowledge for access control issues. There is a Medium blog, the good one, which I found really handy. And I had shared it on Twitter as well a few days back. So this was one case. And the Bugcrowd talk on access control, this is really good as well. A bit older, but it's really nice. And this was all for this talk, I guess. And I hope you get a lot of knowledge. And if not a lot of, some of them, and you implement it on bug bounty stuff and get bounties. And if you want to connect with me, you can find me on Twitter or Insta or LinkedIn. Links are here. And this will be it from my side, and I wish you all the best. Do well in bug bounties or pen testing everywhere you go with your stuff. And thanks for the time and watching this. Thank you all.
The final speaker for day 2 is Purab Parihar sir, who would be speaking on TDL hijacking in the wild. These are the files missing when you install that game. I hope you could learn something, and this is not how to fix TTLs. But all the best, and I hope you learned something. Over to you, sir.
Hello everyone, this is Purab. First of all, I would like to thank the team GrabCON for inviting me over this amazing conference. So, my topic is DLL hijacking. So, we are going to see what is DLL hijacking, and we are going to have an overview of analyzing malicious DLL. So, first of all, who I am? I am Purab Parihar, 18-year-old security researcher, red team enthusiast, and a gamer. I hold these 3 certifications: CRTP, CA, Chenny, jeopardy. So if you are interested in being connected to me, you could connect me on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. So yeah, without delaying your time, let's go. So the agenda for today. So we are going to see these 6 things. First, what is DLL and its types? How Windows searches the DLL? What is DLL hijacking? Why DLL hijacking is harmful? How to hunt these DLL hijacking vulnerabilities? How would you discover these vulnerabilities? Right? And analyzing malicious DLL. So we are going to have a basic overview of analyzing malicious DLL. We are not going to go much in depth, but yes, we'll cover from the above point, right? So what is DLL and its types? A bit theory, so that you could understand in a better way. Sorry if I bore you much. So DLL is a dynamic link library which is implemented by Microsoft or as a shared library concept. So a DLL file contains the code and the data that can be used by multiple programs at a time. Hence, it will promote the code reuse. And the DLL file contains functions, variables, classes, resources, which are being used by executables. So a lot of DLLs comes with the Windows. Like for example, we have kernel32.dll, which contains functions related, function and classes related to memory management and other processes. And user32dll contains the user interface functions. So for using these functions, the application or that .exe file has to import the library files. What are these library files? DLL itself. So there are 2 ways for an application to import functions and import functions from these modules, that are load time dynamic linking library and runtime dynamic linking, right? So what is this load time dynamic linking? So this linking is statically linking an application to a library which has a .lib or .a extension, and this file contains the code for automatically executing runtime links from the DLL on the initial stage of startup. But in the runtime dynamic linking, we have to use load library or load library ex functions to load the DLL with a fixed path. Now, like if the fixed path, if the DLL is missing over that fixed path, then the attacker can have DLL hijacking if possible. So we are going to see that in the next few slides, that how it is possible to have a DLL hijacking from missing DLL path. So if a DLL is not found in the current directory, then we can then the executable will use the DLL search order, the Windows DLL search order in the system. So like for example, the application has a DLL path, like the shortcut of application is on the desktop. So and the developer has set up the path in such a way that a DLL should be loaded from its own directory, that is desktop. So there should be a DLL on the desktop which is being used by that application, but there is no DLL. So how would this Windows operating system will search that DLL in its big hierarchy of files? So there is a complete process which is in a step-by-step manner, and which has been documented by the Microsoft. So a bit fun. Imposter among crewmates. So what is this imposter here? Right, I'll let you know what is this imposter, why we are talking about the imposter here. So basically I am talking about crackers. Now these imposters are crackers, obviously, because here we are going to see why DLL hijacking becomes so harmful. Yes, it is not being much harmful, but if application has a DLL hijacking vulnerability, but you are using a cracked software, so it becomes a huge problem. So basically what happens in the step one, these crackers cracks the DLL hijacking vulnerable applications. For example, you have any software which requires a license, and that software is vulnerable to DLL hijacking. Now in that case, the attacker will place a malicious DLL which may have a reverse shell connection to C2 or anything. Okay, and at that time, in the step 2, victim downloads that cracked software from internet on any of the website which has the malicious DLL in that directory. Like you downloaded a zip file which contains the setup for that software as well as a crack, and it may contain some .dll files which a non-techie guy or a normal computer user will not he or she will not know about this concept, like they could be hacked by the DLLs. In the step 3, what happens when the user execute that program? Simply that malicious DLL which is being placed in the current directory, as I given you the example previous, that on the desktop we have a missing DLL, but when we place that malicious DLL over that directory and execute that program, the malicious DLL is loaded by executable. Basically what happens here, the path given by the developer in the application asking for a DLL at that place, but there is no DLL. So to fulfill that need, we place our malicious DLL so that it could be loaded by the application. In the step 4, what happens? The malicious DLL contains a reverse shell or any type of arbitrary code execution or which is triggered with elevated privileges. Right? In the step 5, the attacker gets the access to victim's PC on SC2 server or any normal. Maybe it could be a Metasploit if you are running in the local environment. So basically, this is how the cracked applications comes in handy by the crackers for attacking a lot of people. So this is just an example to just to give you just an idea about this DLL, what DLL could be used and what are the offensive ways to use this. Now let's see what is Windows search order for the DLLs. How Windows searches the DLL. Now basically if executable is not able to find the DLL in its defined path, the Windows will allow that executable to use its DLL search order to find the DLLs requested by the application. So basically, this search order is being followed if the save DLL search mode is visible. Save DLL search mode is an registry settings which will allows you. It will not fully protect you from the DLL hijacking, but it will limit some sort of thing. I'll cover this in next few slides. So now let's discuss about Windows DLL search order. Now how does Windows DLL search order works? So first, if executable is not able to find that DLL, first it will search in the directory from the application loaded. Then second, current directory. In the first, the directory from application loaded. This is the directory where the application relies, like program files, right? And the second, the current directory, it is like a shortcut on the desktop where the DLL could be found. Third, the system directory. So Windows also uses this get system directory function to get the path of that directory. Then the 16-bit system directory. No function for that, but it somehow searches it. Then the Windows directory. The following function is being used to get the path of this directory, and then directory is listed in the path environment variables. So this is how the things works. Like this goes by step, right? One to one. Like first it will check from the program files, then second it will check from the current directory, then system, then 16-bit system, then Windows directory, and then path environment variables. So basically, what is this DLL hijacking, which is the main topic of this talk? So let's dive into it. So basically, DLL hijacking is the process of injecting a malicious code into an application by exploiting missing DLLs and tracking Windows search order. So what happens here? Like an application requires a DLL which has some functionality, but that DLL is missing from the path or not implemented in the secure way. So there are the high chances of having a DLL hijacking vulnerability at that place. So what happened? An attacker can himself or trick the user to replace the malicious DLL from the original DLL to the missing DLL path. Or it could be the case of the cracker we have discussed in the previous slides. Then the victim, whenever the victim will execute that program file or .exe, or you can say application, then the functions from the malicious DLL will be executed and the code execution will be achieved by the attacker. So this is how you could have control over missing DLLs. Now, why DLL hijacking is harmful? So there are two ways of having a DLL hijacking. So attacker can escalate his privileges from normal user to highly privileged users, administrator, and the code execution is also possible. And the attacker could have reverse shell, attacker could disable some setting on your system, attacker could drop something on your system, attacker can exfiltrate some data from your system, and a lot of things you can do with the code execution. So let's see how to hunt this DLL hijacking vulnerabilities. We have seen what is DLL hijacking vulnerability. So now it's a time to deep dive into how to hunt this DLL hijacking vulnerability. So a lot of programs on the Bugcrowd, HackerOne, and a lot of VDPs also have applications, right? .exe files. So a lot of bug bounty programs have some .exes. So they reward for these DLL hijacking vulnerabilities. Basically, a DLL hijacking vulnerability is used in thick client pen test, but you can also use this while privilege escalation on if you are on any sort of pen test and you want to escalate its privileges. Then DLL hijacking comes in handy if there an application has DLL hijacking vulnerability. So let's see. To hunt this DLL hijacking vulnerability, all you need is just a process monitor. This is a sys internal tool by the Microsoft, which is commonly known as Procmon. You can download it from the Microsoft website. It is a free software, right? And basically this software is used for monitoring the processes. So you can call it Task Manager 2.0, or you can see him a big brother of Task Manager, as it will give a lot of information on a specific task. So for demonstrating this attack, we'll be using the vulnerable version of Cave Remover, the product of Kaspersky. So let's see. So this is how the Procmon looks like. You just simply need to run the Procmon as an administrator and run the caveremover.exe. Then click on the filter and then again on filter. Now what this filter will do? Basically, as you can see in the background, there are a lot of registry keys and a lot of processes run on the Windows system. If you see on the bottom left, you can see there are about 4 lakh plus events, right? So it will hectic for us to find our process. So we'll use a filter to here. Now what we are going to do, we'll add 3 filters. First will be process name, relation should be is, and the value should be caveremover.exe, which is the name of our process. Then the second will contain name not found. Now basically why we are searching this result name not found, it will show the files which are doesn't exist. Where the result doesn't exist, right? And then the third filter we are going to use is path ends with .dll. We only need the .dll files. We don't need any other files, so we'll use this. So our query is completed. That's what we need, and you can see the result number of results are very less now, right? So it is easy to perform and analyze things. Now we can see that some of the DLLs are shown as name not found, which we have applied in the filter. So all these DLLs are missing from their own locations. So as you can see, there are some of the DLLs from the desktop, as this program was ran from the desktop only. So if we run the program from the desktop and we are missing some DLL on the desktop too, which are not being deployed while installation of this program, then we could see there could be a fair amount of chances for the DLL hijacking. This is not applicable every time. If the secure coding practices were used during the development of this program, there are some chances that your DLL hijacking will not work. But you should try every DLL missing DLL from their path. So let's see. So for an example, what we have done is we have created a reverse shell which has the output name cav remover enu.dll. Earlier we have seen that there is a DLL missing from the desktop named cav remover enu.dll. So we have created this DLL on the Kali Linux, and then we have just copied that DLL to our Windows operating system. So we started our listener on the Metasploit, and we run that caveremover.exe program, and we'll wait for the reverse shell, and we'll get a reverse shell. So what happened here? What we did, we copied this DLL to our Windows operating system and placed on the desktop. As the caveremover.exe was missing at desktop, we placed this malicious DLL at the place on the desktop. When we run this application, the missing DLL, which is available now, will load it in the application. Once it is loaded, the malicious actions relies inside this DLL will execute it, and this will throw a reverse shell on our Metasploit. So if you want to perform a manual remote code execution, so if you want like I don't need any Metasploit stuff, I would code my own. So no issues. This will invade the antivirus also if you could code your own some kind of creepy stuff. So basically this code is an example code from Hacktricks. The given link is here. You can go and get this code. So what you have to do is just run the PowerShell as administrator and run this command to compile this code, and this code will simply run the calculator and throw some ipconfig data to the given path of the file, like a C user's username ipconfig.txt. Just for an POC, like if you are on some kind of pen test and you want to show the client that this thing is possible, and for the proof of concept, you could give them like this demo, like opening a calculator or throwing some data to a file or any kind of related thing. So let's see analyzing malicious DLL. Now we have seen that how could we hunt this malicious DLL. Now it's time to see how to analyze. Like if you downloaded a cracked software and you think there could be a chances of a malicious DLL in the place. So we are not going to cover this in depth, but let's see an overview. What we did is we loaded that DLL, malicious DLL, into an IDE, and we open a subview of strings. We are trying to see the strings which we could see normally. So as you can see that we have two strings, that is calc.exe and another is who am I. greater than C user India home whoami.txt. So we could have an idea that whoami command's data is been transferring to the whoami.txt at this path. So we can have this idea that this is performing something malicious. Like as an attacker, what will happen? The attacker would have some sort of encryption if it is a ransomware related, or if any reverse shell related, then it could be a fair chances. Like if it's a metasploit, then you'll have some MSF kind of thing. So I'm not sure that in the Metasploit you'll get the MSF kind of thing, but I'm just giving you like like a brief idea that what you could expect, right? So in the further, let's see like how would you analyze? Like you have run the malicious executable and you think that something is controlling your system, you are having a reverse shell. So for that you could use the process explorer. This is again a sys internal tool by the Microsoft. Now we run that cave remover.exe, which is our metasploit DLL one, right? When we run this, we can see the unknown process has been created named run dll32.exe. And if we see in the run dll32.exe, the another process inside it is cmd.exe. Now this is something kind of fishy, so you can have an idea. So what we have done is we right click on the run dll32.exe and click on properties to see a property of this, like what is going on, right? On the and then the TCP IP tab, we can see that the remote address, which is the 192.168.0.109 with the port 444, has an established connection to our system. And you can see in our Metasploit we have the same IP. So we can have a quick idea that yes, our system has some connection to this particular IP address at the particular and maybe someone is controlling your system, right? So you can have some sort of this idea. Or what you can do is like we have run this program again and use TCP view. Now TCP view is again a sys internal tool. So it's fairly shows us that there is a TCP connection established, which is from our IP 192.168.0.103 to 192.168.0.109, which is an remote address, attacker address, right? On the port 444 with the process of run dll32.exe. So we can have a fairly idea that yes, we are for sure connected to someone's system. So this is a quick overview of analyzing this malicious DLL. So not much from this side. DLL hijacking is not a big topic, and thank you everyone for joining this amazing conference, GrabCON. If you have any queries, you can contact me over this social media handles, and I will try to solve your queries. So not much from my side. Thank you everyone. Bye.
conference ends here, and I hope you all have learned something new and great to go with. The CTF starts tomorrow 4 p.m. IST and would end day after tomorrow 4 p.m. IST. I hope you have a great time playing the CTF and applying what all you have learned here. This was me, Mudit Bansal, signing off. you.